This is my dream car. I put it up for sale recently, but nobody wanted to buy it. Owning a Porsche 911 is a dream car for many of us, and I'm no different. In my case, the 996 generation of the Porsche 911 has been my dream car since I was in college. At the time, it was the new 911 and was met with rave reviews from all of the automotive media. It may be the least loved 911, although it has in recent years received more love. It was the car that I would go to the local Porsche dealership just to get a glimpse of. I mean, what high-end car dealership doesn't want a poor college kid just hanging around? Sure, this 911 is a Tiptronic, and if you asked me back in college, my dream car would have been a manual. But then I didn't realize that later knee issues would help me find out that the Tiptronic is actually pretty good. I've owned this 1999 911 for just over 3 years. In that time, it's been quite dependable, but I needed to try to figure out if I should invest in it and make some modifications or look to buy a new performance car. So I decided to lay out the fleece and put it up for sale. If I couldn't sell it, then I'd work on making it the best version of itself. But who wouldn't want to buy my dream car? Surely, everyone has the same dream. My first thought on where to list the car was Cars and Bids, the car auction site that Doug DeMiro helped found. The site is perfect for selling a modern era performance car, especially if it isn't likely to get accepted to bring a trailer. I put in my application, which entailed describing the car, both the good and bad, and sending a number of photos. My old Porsche was accepted, but there was one thing. They wanted the car listed with no reserve, as according to them, cars like this tend to fetch more without a reserve. Of course, that is a big risk, as while many similar examples received a fair price, a few went for even lower than what I paid for it, and this is a much higher market. Beyond this, they really want you to pay for a professional photographer. Because of the lack of being able to guarantee a minimum price, I decided against listing it on Cars and Bids. This led me to list it on Facebook Marketplace. I had a good experience selling my Porsche Boxster on Facebook Marketplace a few years ago, so why not try it again? Facebook Marketplace certainly gave plenty of leads. Quite a few people asked if it was still available and then decided it was a good time to never message again. The majority of folks that did get back to me wanted to make a trade, and there was nothing that was interesting enough. And to put it nicely, a few were just really persistent. I did get a few folks that wanted to talk to me over the phone or message with a number of questions, claiming they were extremely interested. There were multiple people that scheduled a time to look at the car and then they just didn't show up. They also never messaged again, so they must have found something else. To attempt to make sure that keeping it was meant to be, I also posted the car on Craigslist. Advertising a car on Craigslist does require a small fee, but I figured worth a shot. And for that money, I got one person from Craigslist that contacted me about the car. In all, I ended up with a total of 2 people making it out for a test drive. One of them narrowly missed getting into an accident right after getting behind the wheel, so things weren't off to a good start. He said he was going between 2 cars and would get back to me, but he decided never to contact me again. So he's either scared that he was going to wreck it or he bought the other 911. The other went quite a bit further and it looked like it would work out to the point that I marked the car as sold. But everything eventually fell through. In the end, I had lowered the price to the lowest I was willing to sell, which was $16,500. At the time, based on an Auto Tempest search, it was the cheapest Porsche 911 in the US with a clean title that ran and drove. Likely it would have sold very quickly if it had been a manual transmission car, as a number of people quickly dismissed the Tiptronic without even giving it a try. Of course, if it was a manual, then I would have priced it higher, so there is that. So I'm keeping my dream car that nobody else wanted. In a previous video, I detailed the build and the goal to make it to the front row of a high-end Cars and Coffee. So far, I've upgraded the exhaust and made it more modern, and there are certainly more improvements to come. But there is one more little thing. Because of my experience on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, I realized that an enthusiast car-focused site that is more along the same lines instead of an auction site may be useful. So I'm launching our Ride Life listings. Listing an enthusiast car is free, and to make sure that only vehicles that meet this criteria are accepted, all listings will be reviewed by an admin. The hope is that by having an audience of passionate car people instead of the mix that you get on other sites, that any potential car buyer will be much more serious about a purchase. Check out the link in the description to buy or sell your next enthusiast car.